Hello everybody and welcome to this very special All You Need Is a Ball webinar, where today I am joined by the one and only Mikey Poulli and his father John. Hello to you both, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. Right, the purpose of today's session, which I have entitled Bouncebackability, for a few reasons, which I'll come on to say later. But the purpose of today is to tell a very inspirational story, first of all, about Mikey here, understand the journey and what he's up to and what some exciting things are coming in the future, to hopefully inspire more people around the world to know that when challenges face you, especially in the football industry, there is always a way, and there is always a way to find success, to progress, to be a better person, and enjoy the ball. Ultimately, as we know, hence the title of this again, it's all about the ball. It's all about finding a way to express yourself and enjoy life with a ball. So without further ado, I am really happy you could join me today, both of you. And I know that maybe some of this, all of it, this is not new to you. You've done lots of media, you've done lots of talking about your story before. But for those who haven't had the chance to understand where you're at, I'm going to start by setting the headline, I guess, that Mikey is the youngest ever person to be training with the England blind football team. That's kind of a great lead into this, I think, but maybe we could start at the beginning and tell us a bit of how on earth you got to this incredible position.
Okay, so is it the football story or
just your life?
Oh, my life. Okay, so I was born fully sighted.
Right.
And then at the age of 6, I started losing my vision, and then within 18 months, I lost all of it, and I just played football every day, and I adapted to blind football somehow. So it was
incredible. So you were playing football, so up until, all the time. So do you remember the first time you started kicking a ball? Can you remember?
Yeah.
You and your dad, I can imagine.
I was 1 year old.
One, wow, okay. That's love. That's
Mikey was always active. I just want to put that out there. So as soon as he could walk, he was running and kicking a ball, throwing a ball, whatever it may be. He was just literally bouncing off the walls, and he was, as he said, he was fully sighted. He was born fully sighted. He had no symptoms or presented with any visual issues throughout most of his young life, even when he was diagnosed with this rare condition, which is called rod cone dystrophy, which basically eats away at the rods and cones of your eyes until you go blind.
Right.
Even at that diagnosis, he was still fully sighted, which is what took kind of us by surprise the most, because we took him for a random eye test, not knowing or not noticing anything wrong with his eyes. We literally just took him for a random eye test, and the doctor literally just told us within a couple of months, after some testing, that he's got this rare condition and that he'll go blind.
Wow.
But at diagnosis, he was fully sighted, and then within 18 months, the doctors couldn't tell us how long it would take for him to go blind, or whether he would even go blind completely, because it manifests very differently in anyone who's got this rare condition. So there's no kind of given formula for how it would manifest. So from being fully sighted, he went completely blind within 18 months. And even the doctors were astonished at how quickly he lost his vision, because usually people have some kind of symptoms prior. So you can tell that, that they've got some kind of visual issues. With Mikey, he was at school. So he was at school for 2 or 3 years, and he was reading normal text. He was participating in sports activities and everything else that they do at school. So the teachers haven't said anything, because he was reading normal text along with all the other children. They didn't have to enlarge anything for him, for example. Yeah. So he literally was fully sighted, and then we got the diagnosis, and then he lost his vision completely. So
amazing. Can you remember, Mikey, that feeling, like when someone tells you that, and you obviously must have felt, I guess, a little uncomfortable maybe at the time when they said this is going to happen. But can you remember what your first reactions were and what you wanted to do next?
I actually didn't know what was going on, because
right.
It's quite young.
I was about 6 years old, and I didn't really know.
I mean, I remember.
So it was all about just playing football next, right? It was more about, right, where's the ball? Let's get game on. Is that what it was?
I remember being in the initial diagnosis meeting with the doctor, and obviously I was excited. So when the doctor told me this, obviously he heard what the doctor said, and he probably didn't understand what the doctor was saying, because who kind of understands at that age what even blindness is?
Yeah. Very fair.
I just remember us looking at each other. I was in shock, and I just looked at Mikey, and then he looked at me, and he kind of smiled, and I was just we looked at each other. It felt like an eternity. It must have been about 5 seconds. I was just looking at him, and he was looking at me, and I just remember it like it was yesterday, to be honest with you. But it's been a bit of a crazy journey. I mean, his main kind of concern at the time, as young as he was just solely focused on playing football. So before the diagnosis, he was playing at a local club, and he was very good. I mean, he was probably, looking back now, he was probably partially sighted back then without us realising it, because he must have began to lose his vision to some extent without us realising. But at this club, he was, even so, he was still one of the best players there. And
I won the penalty shootout. I did miss a penalty once though.
Yeah, they used to do like weekly penalty shootouts, at 5, 6 years old. And he was one of the best players. And when his vision started deteriorating and he started losing it, the doctors, the football club told us that they won't be able to facilitate him because it's just going to be too dangerous for him and the other children. So when his vision got to the point where it was too dangerous for him and the other kids, we had to pull him out of that football club. And that was what devastated him the most, is that he was playing with these kids for 2-3 years. They were friends. They used to meet up every week, have fun on the football pitch. So he was devastated with that. And that he was more concerned about not playing football. He never once complained about his vision. He only complained about not playing football. And he just carried on playing. I mean, he literally just carried on playing football, and his vision would deteriorate to the extent that, it has now. But every day at home, every day in the garden with his brother, we'd just carry on playing football. And, me as his dad, I was probably in a zone where I was quite upset, depressed with the situation as to, what had just happened out of nowhere. And I probably didn't realise how special he was, in the fact that I was actually playing football with him still. Like, we were having quite competitive games at home, like passing and controlling and dribbling and shooting. And he was practically blind. And I didn't realise how amazing that actually is, because of, like I said, the state that I was probably in. And then what happened is we were trying to find places where they would accommodate, visually impaired children who can participate in sports, whether it was football or anything. I mean, we didn't really know what was out there for blind children, because this was completely new to us. And we took him to we found the Tottenham Hotspur Centre of Excellence. The first session there, the coach there just happened to be the England blind coach for the professional England team. And he just took one look at him after, the first session, and he called me up the next day and said, "I'm calling up the FA because he's really special. He's got something there." And he was only 7 at the time. And within a couple of weeks, the FA had come down and videoed him and done everything, sent us forms to certify that he was blind, etc. So it happened quite quickly, but it was an amazing time, and also a very difficult and emotional time. But he's kind of, I can imagine,
just to pause on that moment, because I think this is probably the time, if you want to have a pause on this video. If you check out the links below, I'm going to post some videos here to show people, some of your training and how incredible actually it really is to see the way that you've adapted everything, your whole life, right? Because but the love of the ball has maintained. And at that same time, I'm also very excited that our special guest has arrived here, because we've got another fan of yours from the other side of the world, Mr. Séan Garnier, who I know you're partly familiar with, Mikey. Séan's heard your story, and he's very kindly just agreed to join in and he's going to tell us a bit of his story, but I wanted you guys to meet one another, albeit virtually, and hopefully you can get together at some stage. Séan, how you doing?
Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Hello, Mikey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Really good.
Yeah, everything okay.
Good. Great.
So I sent Séan a few weeks ago. I sent him a few links to your Instagram profile to see how you're playing, and yeah, he's shaking his hand right now because honestly he couldn't believe what he was seeing. And like I said, I really hope, even though and the fact that he's worked a lot with Arsenal as well, with some of the players there at Arsenal Football Club and Adidas. I think it would be amazing for you guys at some stage in the future to actually meet when we're allowed to in this world.
Yeah.
And maybe film some videos together, because there'll be some fantastic content.
Yeah, crazy. And really, I'm really impressed by what you do, Mikey. It's just crazy.
I mean, I've tried explaining some of the stuff that you do, because obviously I've seen your videos. I've got a younger son who loves you as well, called Angelo. And I tried explaining some of the stuff that you do to Mike, because obviously you can't see it, and he can't believe that you can do what you do, like with handstands and catching the ball, and
Kick ups on the floor.
some of the stuff you do, I can't even explain it because it's that mad. But I try my best. But yeah, he's absolutely amazed by what you can do as well. So as am I.
Thank you. But it's like you. I think it's just like. Just go with the flow and practice. And if you believe in yourself, you're gonna do whatever you can do. That's it.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
very
You have
true.
to carry and never give up.
Yeah, exactly.
Mikey will be teaching you some moves soon, Séan, don't you worry.
Yeah.
So again, thank you everyone now for joining us up. We've just heard the incredible beginnings of Mikey's journey, and it is the beginnings. I think that's what's exciting about all of what we're talking about here is you're still just 10 years old, Mikey, and to be training, the youngest person training for the England blind football team, to have the attention of some of the biggest brands in the world and footballers who want to meet you and share time with you. You've already done things that people twice, 3 times your age would be dreaming still of doing. So well done, first of all. I think it needs to be appreciated. We'll have a little pause, and as you joined us, Séan, thank you again. A very different story, of course, but the purpose of this whole seminar, this webinar, is about encouraging and inspiring other people around the world to pursue their dreams, okay, regardless of what setbacks they have, what problems they face in life. It's about believing in the ball, exactly as you just said, expressing yourself, being yourself. Could you just tell everyone a bit of your story? I know you've done this 1,000 times as well, but your journey from aspiring to be a professional player and some of the problems that you've had to overcome to be successful.
Okay. So when I start, when I was young, my dream was to be a professional football player. Basically, I wanted to chase this dream just by the fact I realized being good with the ball, get the attention or the recognition from everybody around me. So mostly my friends, my father, big time, my family. So once I get this feeling, I make proud people around me. I just, okay, I need to carry on with the ball. And what is the best place to do that? It's a football pitch. So you go to the club, you start to practice, you start to play with your friend, you realize you have some talent, so you work on your talent, you be one of the best, then you grow up and you go, I came to one of the best team at that time for formation, which is Auxerre. So I did the French selection for youth. I play so many crazy games. Then at one point I get like a problem to grow. When you grow up too fast, you have some inflammation. So at that time you have to stop normally just to resolve the problem. But because of all this selection in France, I didn't really stop, and I was really bad at the doctor didn't advise me in a good way. So I played 2 more years, but after these 2 years, my body just crashed. So I couldn't really move. Like some days I couldn't even walk. because of all the inflammation and all the problem. So it's make my end of youth career really, really hard. And
How old
during
were you
that
then?
time,
What kind of age was that?
so when I started to really have a big problem was between 16 and 18.
Right.
Okay, so I made my best to come back. I found some way to recover faster, but it took me 2 years to be back to my best level. At 18, I started training with the pro. So I was in another club called Troyes. It was in League One in France. And so I trained with the pro. And for the third time after like, I take 6 months with them, with the pro. And in 6 months, it was the second time I twist my ankle, but that time was not twist, it was broken. So I broke my ankle after a nutmeg. So I give a nutmeg to someone in the training, he tackled me.
Of course you did.
and he tackled me and I broke my ankle. So it took me like 1 year to recover because I got that twist on this ankle many times. So it was a weak ankle.
Nutmegging people, did it?
Sorry?
That didn't deter you from nutmegging people, though, did it?
Yeah, no, it encouraged me. But yeah, I was not like really like that before. Like maybe I forgot to say something, but before, first of all, my real name is Arnaud, and I was really someone who is shy. I was really shy. The only place I could step up was the football pitch. Otherwise, I couldn't like really talk to people. Every time I talk, I become red. You know, I was really, really shy. I couldn't really like find my way. I had the many ideas. I think I was someone really creative, but I couldn't really see where I can express except in the football pitch. Yeah. So arriving at 19 years old, I had the choice to continue and maybe become a pro, but I need to be back at my best level, and it took time. And at the same time, I found a way to start to do a curriculum to be a football coach. So because my club went to League 2, and I had to like spend like 6 months again to be back in shape, I decided to go to Paris and to start to study for being a coach, and just training with Paris Saint-Germain, but just training, no playing. Just training and once I be ready, I would go somewhere else. Then during that time, I had the chance to coach some kids, and I realized some of the kids, they love as much the game of football than the tricks with the ball. And they always ask me, why can you do that? Can you do these tricks? You know, I was not really a freestyler at that time. I was just like someone who knows how to do around the world, or, you know, when you catch the ball in your neck or between your ankles, stuff like that. But I realized the attention of doing tricks was something else. Every time you do like 2 tricks in a row, you can catch the attention of someone else, you know, and you don't really need to play on the field. You can do that everywhere. And that was a big tool for me, because as a shy boy, the fact I understand I can play not only in the football pitch, but somewhere else and touch different kind of people, it gave me confidence. So I attend a tournament called Adidas F50 Plus, which is a one-on-one tournament. I bring my kids to play, but I realized I could play as well. I was 19, almost 20. So I did that tournament. I qualified for the national final, and I see myself in the final in front of Djibril Cissé at that time, Sidney Govou. So 2 big players in France at that moment. And I won this French final. I play against Govou, I nutmeg him, and all the TV came like film this moment and asked me, oh, can you do some tricks? We saw you doing the tricks before at the warm-up. Can you do some tricks? So I started to do the trick, and in 2 minutes, I realized I get the attention of the whole, everybody. So media, people, DJ, star. And I'm like, okay, at that time, there were no internet. So not really internet, let's say. So just to give some example to Mikey, just if I wanted to contact a pro player or you know, contact him, I couldn't like make a message on Instagram. It was not that easy. You have to go to the training spot, like for Ronaldinho when he came to Paris Saint-Germain. I remember myself came to Paris Saint-Germain, take my ball and trying to call him like, come, let's make some juggle, but it's impossible. You have bodyguard and stuff like that. But when I realized with that like little tricks, I could get the attention of everybody. That moment was the switch for me. I like, okay, I'm not gonna train only to be a football player. I'm gonna train to be a bowler. So I'm gonna train to be able to master the ball in any situation. So in the pitch, outside of the pitch, in the stage, against people one-on-one, you know, and that's become my thing. I need to be the best one, the best guy with the ball everywhere, and all the game become important, not only the football game. And how I translate that like that is like I just trying to find or define what was my work I can express myself and what could be my expression place. And yeah, it was the street, it was different place, but and with the time, not only waiting people to give me the opportunity, I tried to create also my own place to express. And I was lucky because social media came in as well. So it like I was really lucky in the process. I become world champion after 2-3 years of freestyle. So when I start was 2006 and I become a champion in 2008. When after I played against Neymar, I had the chance to meet Neymar and play against him. It was a big boom for me. So it was 2011 and social media become really strong. And in 2014, I get like 2 or 3 viral videos, and I just use that to start like to have social media. So I was really lucky in the process. Like I was always at the right time, right moment. Yeah, and I just tried to carry on by opportunity, and just always I was really angry. Like I wanted to see where I can do something, you know, like when people stop to train or stop to play with the ball, I wanted again to do it, you know. It was just like that, just the process of love the ball too much and see how I can improve. And yeah, that's it, you know. But I'm not like I'm not like someone who's like specially talented more than anybody else. It's just like I think I love what I'm doing, and I realize I start this little interview by saying my dream was to be a professional football player, but now I can tell you my dream was just to connect with people. This is what I understand now, and I wanted football for me was the only way to connect with people because I was shy. But now with all this, when I step back, I understand. No, I could take other path to connect with people, but I didn't know at that time. Yeah.
Amazing. Where do we start? Anything you wanted to say to that, John? That you were about to say something.
I was going to say, like, I think Mikey as well. I mean, he's all he cared about is just playing football, and probably similar to Séan is, you know, when he was sighted, Mikey was sighted. I mean, I think it's probably most young boys or young children's dream is to be a professional footballer. And Mikey always used to say, from being sighted, he always used to say to me he wants to be a professional footballer. And then when we found out he was losing his vision, and you know, the doctors told me what was going to happen to Mikey, I would ask Mikey what he would want to be when he's older still, just to see if he changed his mind, because you know things were changing for him. And he'd still say he wanted to be a professional footballer. And then even when he was completely blind, I'd still ask before England came along, etc. You know, I'd ask him again, what would he want to be? And he'd still say a professional footballer. So for Mikey, he's always had that mindset of he knows what he wants, whether it is actually to be a pro footballer or maybe like saying it is to connect with people, because, you know, to express himself and, you know, get that attention from people, whatever it may be. But it seems like they've got a similar kind of mindset in the sense that, you know, he's like an animal. Like, you know, once he gets that ball, he can't see anything and he'll just run with this ball. You know, he doesn't care. He just wants the ball. Yeah, he's got a huge passion for it, and he just wants that ball and he wants to run with it. And, you know, there's been times where he's had a few accidents. Like, I think I took him to Arsenal training once, and, you know, he heard the ball because, like, for example, we've got the ball here, so it makes noise, so he can hear where it is. That's how he connects with the ball. And he heard the ball at Arsenal, and he just ran off without asking, is there someone in the way? Is there any obstacles? And he just ran off, and he ran straight into this goalpost and, like, toppled over. Like, my point is that he's like an animal. When he hears that ball, he just wants that ball, and he's always had that passion in him, from sighted to losing his vision completely to now. He's always had that passion. So it's all about, what you feel in here, and if you want that, then nothing will stop you.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Okay.
crazy. Like, and how was the process to learn? Like, from which age to now? Like, how did you learn? How often did you practice? What? How did you do that?
I played every day in the garden with my dad and my brother, and I just never stopped, and I adapted to blind football, and then I just played.
I don't know if you heard what we were saying before you joined the call, but when Mikey was when we were told about Mikey losing his vision, he was more concerned about not being able to play football than the thought of being blind. You know, he just wanted to play. He only cared about football. And when he had to stop playing football at his club because he lost his vision, he was devastated. But we used to play at home every day. You know, he would always. I'd come home from work, tired, etc., and he'd be like, "Baba, can we play football? Can we play football? Can we play football?" And he was, you know, he wasn't completely blind at that point, but he was losing a lot of his vision. And you know, we'd play football every day at home, and I was in a state where I was probably down and depressed, and God knows what was going through my mind. But I didn't realise how special he was, in the sense that I was actually playing real football with my son, who was actually almost completely blind. And I didn't realise how special he was. And then when we found somewhere where they accommodated blind children to play football, the coach took one look at him and was astonished at how good he was, considering that he'd never been trained professionally by a club or anything like that. You know, he was just a 7-year-old boy who was completely blind, but he was able to run with this ball and shoot and know his surroundings and find the top corner somehow. And you know, he was amazing, and they signed him up as soon as they saw him. So he literally, from finding out that he was losing his vision to losing his vision, he simply just didn't stop. Every day he would train, practice, you know, home in on different skills, because obviously his vision went, he started relying on his hearing a lot more, and he honed in on those skills, and he kind of heightened them. I don't know exactly what happened.
My other senses heightened.
His other senses heightened, yeah, and he just became better and better. And now he can just, when he goes training, it's in a big hall, and we just throw the ball, and we put his blindfold on. So he's got a blindfold that he wears like that. So this is just to prove that
no one can see
anything. So it's completely black. And he puts that on, and he just runs on this pitch, and he knows exactly where the walls are. He knows exactly where the goal is.
Wow.
Just runs around with the ball, he can shoot, dribble, Cruyff turns.
But you know, this is like a skills more advanced than any of my skills, my friend. You know, like, no, really, it's crazy.
Maybe we'll get
it is.
Wow.
No, we're definitely arranging a group training session at some stage in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You've never seen anything like it, Séan. It's phenomenal.
When he doesn't wear this, so with a lot of his Instagram videos, I had to start. I mean, for England or for blind professional players, they have to wear this anyway because it's a professional requirement. But when I started Mikey's Instagram account and his social media stuff, he wasn't really wearing the mask because I knew that he was blind. And I used to post these videos, and people used to comment back saying, he's not really blind. There's no way he's blind.
Mm-hmm.
He's really blind. Because without the mask, you'd never know he was blind.
Yeah, you can't say.
He runs with the ball, he controls it, and the ball is stuck to his feet. So I had to start posting videos with this to prove that he can't actually see, believe it or not.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you can tell when he touches the ball, is the way he touches is with the feeling of the touch more than the vision, you know?
Yeah.
So even like you can tell directly the way he touched it, and like it's crazy. And you know what? Like I did blind football, not really blind football, but I did a show maybe 10 years ago, and there is one guy who was promoting blind football in France. They came and they like actually challenged me in one-on-one in front of everybody. They asked me to put this how you call it, the mask, or yeah. And I played against him with the ball, with the sound and everything. man, it was really hard. So when I got the ball, it's okay. You know, on my feet, I have this ability to control the ball without looking. But when the ball is far away, like it's really, really hard to catch it and to see where is it. Like it's incredible.
That's one of Mikey's like special skills, is that if you could drop you could throw something and it could land anywhere, and he'll find exactly where it is. So like the ball makes noise, but even if you roll it and then it stops and it's not making the noise anymore, he still knows exactly where it is. And his coach has said to me, and his coach has trained a lot of the professional blind footballers, and he said even, you know, at this age, he's doing stuff that even the adult players can't do. And he was scouted when he was 7, he's 10 now, but for the last 2-3 years, he's been doing stuff that even the adult players can't do. And he says that one of his main attributes and one of the most important skills is his ball location. He can find that ball wherever it's on the pitch, even when it stops rolling, because his senses are so heightened that he's honed in on certain skills. So he's just, I mean, I'm his dad, so obviously I'm going to beat him. He's amazing, but...
No, but it's crazy. Mikey, when I see your video, you make me laugh, you make me smile. It was crazy. I was really impressed. It's amazing. It's just amazing what you can do, and it's a good example, you know, because you're gonna give example to people who have some maybe disease or trouble for sure, but you're gonna also give example to people who don't have anything, but they stop themselves, you know. They make some they have some limit just for nothing, just because of maybe their parents or maybe their friends, you know. As a kid, we always think many stuff is impossible, you know, but you have the ability to actually inspire a lot of people and tell them, look, you know, I can do that by myself. So what you wait, my friend, you know, and that's incredible. And that's the power of social media for me. You know, back in the day, we could like see 1 or 2 talent in the world by accident, maybe by TV or by traveling. But now I think we can find so many amazing talent just by watching online, and that can spread a good positive vibe in the world. And you are part of that. And actually, when I see you, it gives me I want to practice. You know, and that's my point when I was saying before I meet this guy who was promoting blind football. When I played against him, I actually think, oh, that's a really great technique to improve your football. And I'm sure like people like football clubs should use that in the formation for actually develop the sense of the player. You know,
Definitely.
I mean, Mike actually did a YouTube video with another freestyler. Called Jamie. London Movements, his name is.
Jamie,
so we did it's on his YouTube channel, and when he did that video, so obviously all freestylers are amazing, you know, like yourself, you know, with the ball you're unbelievable, and like exactly what you said, as soon as he didn't have the ball at his feet, he froze. He was scared to move, he was scared to like try and find the ball. But as soon as the ball was at his feet, you know, he could dribble and move around slowly, but as soon as he would lose the ball, that's where he froze. And like, you know, obviously Mikey's been training and he's been used to this way of life for a good few years now. But, you know, when they were doing a challenge, so the coach would throw the ball, Jamie would freeze, and Mikey was like a rocket. He would go and find the ball, catch it, dribble it, shoot, score. And Jamie was like still in the same spot, because it's actually a really frightening thing. I mean, obviously I've tried it as well. And you get scared as soon as you don't know where you are and you need to try and find something. That's where you kind of freeze. So it kind of goes with what you said earlier about having the ball at your feet is one thing. Not having the ball is where you really need to that's where the real challenge is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Talent.
Awesome.
And I heard a study as well. You know, and this is a study I was really count on when I start freestyle. What people feel the most is not what they see, but what they hear. So, you know, our best ability is like to hear and from what we hear, feeling. So, and I'm sure like our brain, we don't use all our capacity. So, you actually drive your brain to use a capacity with the maximum possibilities, you know, and that's a good
music's
thing.
a good example of that, isn't it? You know, when you listen to music, that feeling that drives emotion in you when you just be able to hear a beat or it's very true.
Loves music.
Yeah, for sure. So no, I'm sure.
Listen,
it's crazy.
Listen, we're going to carry this conversation on because I think you guys can talk for hours long. But just to summarize here for the purpose of this webinar anyway, Mikey, we can assure you that you are an inspiration to the world and everyone's watching, and your dad's doing an amazing job at capturing it and sharing that through Instagram and other forms. Everyone watching, you can see the links below. We're going to post some links to see you training and get in touch. And Séan, as always, absolute pleasure. And again, huge inspiration to millions of people watching. They're all following you anyway, I'm sure. But no, your story is another shining example of never giving up, and the fact that at the end of the day, all you need is a ball to spark your interest and to continue through your football career. So thank you all very, very much for your time, and we look forward to speaking more soon.
Thank you.